Rick, one of the most amazing things that you have done is climb Mount Rainier. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about the story of that and maybe some key takeaways you had from that whole adventure.
Yeah. Well, I went through cancer and was pronounced cancer free in July of 1996. And I wanted to climb Mount Rainier because I had seen it on a business trip that I had taken to Seattle. At my worst, during my cancer treatments, I could not walk up one flight of stairs. And when I saw Mount Rainier, I thought this would be a great way to balance the scale and take back my body. So for 2 years, I worked in training to get into shape to make an attempt. So I went to Mount Rainier, and this was on the day of my cancerversary, in late July. It's a 3-day thing. The first day is training, and the second 2 days are you're actually ascending. So I got there. I did the training. I was very worried they were going to reject me because I wasn't in good enough shape. But they said, "Oh yeah, you're in great shape. You can do it." So that was like my big fear. On the first day, we started the climb, and you climb to 10,000 feet, and you work as a team. And I went through a guide service to do all this. You spend the entire day walking up over snow, over rocks, what have you, and then you get to the 10,000 foot point. The mountaineering group that I was with had they called it a guide hut or a hostel. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was like a plywood room where everybody slept on basically on wooden bunk beds. Then you begin the ascent early in the morning, an alpine ascent, and I went through the Disappointment Cleaver route. That's a point on the side of the mountain. And the first day was more of like, hey, I feel pretty good. Part of it was tough, but that second day where the air started to thin out and I started to question myself, that's really when it got difficult. The two things that I took away from this that have stuck with me since that point in time are, number one, you're gonna feel like number one is you're going to feel tired. You're not going to feel good doing this. You don't do these things to feel comfortable. It doesn't feel like you're sitting on your couch. It doesn't feel like you're going for a walk around your block. It feels like you can barely breathe. You're carrying heavy equipment. There's a lot of wind and noise, and you could fall. And all those things combined make for an exhilarating experience. And I knew I was laying in that bed thinking, I'm going to be tired, but that's going to be fine. I'm just going to keep pressing. And that's what I did. I just kept going, try to get to the next checkpoint. And eventually we got to the final checkpoint 45 minutes before the summit. And I really started to cry. And the tears were fogging up my goggles and they were going into my ears because of the wind. And I couldn't see anymore. And eventually I got up to the top and somebody had their hand out to shake my hand. They said, "Your congratulations, you've reached the summit of Mount Rainier." And it's mind blowing. But the summit of any mountain is not the top. It's actually the bottom, because even though you made it all the way up, you got to get yourself back down.
Right.
So coming back down is that's not easy. It's not like in our case, we didn't just ski down. We walked down and descended, and that took several hours. And you're tired, you're dehydrated. But getting through all that is what leads to the final checkpoint, which is the bottom, where you can say, I did this. The second thing I want to stress from this, besides you don't have to feel good to make progress. The second thing is, in life, if you got one chance to do something, there are some, ad hoc opportunities. You have one chance to say something, to do something, to meet someone, to go somewhere. Do it and throw the kitchen sink at it. If you have one opportunity to climb Mount Rainier and you're never going to be able to make the flight back or the cost or whatever, you got to knock it down. You got to give it everything you have. If you fail giving it everything you have, you can walk away satisfied that you exhausted your entire potential in the attempt of whatever this is. But I learned that, other things earlier on that were important to me and I didn't succeed at, I reflect back and realize, well, you probably should have done something differently or tried harder. So this is something I say to my son: if you have one chance to do something, you got to make it happen. You got to give it everything you got. So those are the two things that I learned from that.